Alright guys, so what we have here today is my more or less range pack slash EDC pack med kit. Now this isn't really a dedicated 110% med kit. I like to carry these kits with me, guys. I do have a few smaller kits that are strictly medical, 110%, that's all it is. As you can see, this does have the medical patch on it, identifying it as a medical kit. If something happened and someone needed to get to it, this would at least jump out to them as a medical kit. Now, when we open this thing up, it has a few different sections here, and guys, I will leave a link below. This is the Condor rip-away med pouch, and I like that because it has our MOLLE connections here, and you literally can just grab this handle and rip it off, and the buttons pop off. I know this isn't the best thing out there. I know this isn't the most expensive piece of med kit or, you know, most expensive IFAK out there. There are a lot of really great pre-made IFAKs out there from a lot of great companies. Skinny Medic has a couple that are really nice, you know, like the Pocket Vac from Tactical Response. I've heard a lot of great things about all of those kits, guys, but this is more or less something I wanted to build to my standards, and more or less something that I like to take with me when I'm going to the range, and also when we're like out and about in the car or we're traveling. I like to take this kit. If you guys have anything you'd like to add or anything that you guys carry that may work in your IFAKs, please let me know. Like I said, do keep in mind though that I do have a few dedicated IFAKs. This is more or less, yes, it is a medical kit, but I also keep a few odds and ends in here that I do use quite often, whether we're on the road or, you know, the kids get bumped and scraped, something like that. The first pouch I want to go ahead and take a look at, guys, is this zipper pouch right here. Now this is typically folded up like this, so when you open the bag up, you unfold it and you have these three compartments. So the first zippered pouch here is where I keep a TK4 tourniquet. And guys, these are really, really great. I picked a bunch of these up from a military surplus store for like $2 or $3 a piece. So I just stocked up on them, and I keep some of these TK4s everywhere. You know, while they're not the best tourniquets out there, they work and they're great. You know, they're cheap. You just can't get around the fact that they work and they're cheap. So the next thing we have in this front zip-up pouch, two pair of rubber gloves. You can never have enough rubber gloves, guys. No matter when you're working with blood, no matter who it is, the safest thing is to have some gloves. So I keep two individual pair of rubber gloves. Another thing we have here is an Israeli bandage. Now guys, this stuff is great, and you can typically find it at your milsurp stores or online, Amazon, stuff like that, for relatively cheap. I'm not going to swear what I paid for this, but I think it was under $10. I'm pretty sure it was like $7 or $8, and I do have a few of these in each of my bags. More or less just compressed bandage, gauze, and guys, it's really, really necessary to have some of this stuff in your range bag. I just can't stress that enough. I am not by any means a professional when it comes to medical stuff. It probably wouldn't hurt if I had more medical training, guys, but it is very important that you at least know how to dress a wound, use your tourniquet, and that you have this stuff. So moving forward onto this pouch here. Now, like I said, guys, I've done some stuff like with this before, and I've had guys be like, you know, hey, that's not a medical kit, and I'm not saying that this is strictly an IFAK. I keep a lot of odds and ends in here, and I think it is a great idea to have these kits with these odds and ends. So, a couple of things we have over here, guys. Some smaller zip ties. Now, I've used these things quite a bit. I usually have to go ahead and put more in here every now and then. They just come in handy. Yes, they're small, but if you did need something bigger, you could always wire these together and usually get what you need out of it. Now, the next thing we keep here, and don't make fun of me for this, guys, I know my man card is at stake here, but some hand sanitizer, and yes, it does smell good. I believe it's from Bath & Body Works. My daughter loves these things. Every year we end up buying like 50 of these things. So I went upstairs and grabbed one of these, and I have used this quite a bit. The kids have used this quite a bit, so this has came in handy, guys. Now, the next thing we have here, guys, is just some of your basic medical tape. This stuff can be used to wrap dressing, hold a bandage on if need be. It's just very handy stuff to have. This stuff's really, really cheap as well, guys. I hate to say, you know, this is a survival kit, anything like that, but if something did happen, say the car broke down, whatever kind of SHTF scenario you could think of, it does not hurt to have waterproof matches, guys. I would feel completely comfortable going into a situation, say where our car broke down and we had to stay there overnight, something like that, with this kit. Now, of course, with my gun and extra mags, which that is in my EDC bag that I take with me, but as far as the medical side and just odds and ends, this bag has me covered. So the pocket knife that I choose to keep in here is a 511 Alpha Scout Tonto. Now, this is a tontoed blade knife, AUS 8 steel. These things run about 40 bucks. All in all, guys, it's a really good size blade. As you can see, I have pretty average size hands for a guy. Fits in the hand nicely, and I actually got this knife in a Tac Pack subscription box. I'm happy with it. I really can't say anything bad about it. It's comfortable in the hand. You could use this as a defensive knife. It does make a pretty good EDC knife, but I thought it served a good purpose, and I thought it was a good size to keep in this particular bag. Now, under the knife here, guys, I like to keep a couple hair ties. Now, whether our daughter starts freaking out that her hair's in her face all of a sudden, or whether I can do something with these hair ties, I always keep hair ties in my, survival type kits, EDC bags, and sometimes even in a medical bag, guys. If you had a bandage on or something that needed covered up, you could easily slip this on over and at least temporarily keep it in place. This is just a typical credit card type card, and you never know when these can come in handy, guys. Whether you lock yourself out of a house, something like that, you can use one of these to get in most locks. They just serve, different purposes. So I threw this in here. I've never had to use it, but it doesn't hurt to have it. Now, in this bag, we have some antiseptic wipes, cooling gel for burns, that type of stuff, alcohol pads, things to more or less sterilize a cut, a bug bite, a burn, obviously. And sorry if it's very white, guys. That light's pretty bright, and these are bright white. But you're not missing a whole lot, but do know that you should keep some sort of antiseptics, alcohol pads, and cooling gel for a burn definitely doesn't hurt. Now, moving on to this tourniquet here, guys. This is a RATS tourniquet. Now, like I said, I'm not huge into medical. I'm not medically trained. It really would be good if I went and took a medical course somewhere. But a RATS tourniquet, I personally like these. I have not had a CATS tourniquet. I haven't had some of, what's the name of it? I forget some of the other names of tourniquets out there. The CAT tourniquet, the RATS tourniquet. There's a few I was just looking at. Oh, the SWAT T tourniquet. There are a few different variations. The TK4 tourniquet. But guys, I would say as long as you have one, you have practiced using it, you are comfortable with it, that's great. That's better than not having one at all. And once you get medical stuff down, you get used to using a tourniquet, then you can go ahead and start getting picky about what you want. Over here, I keep this little pen, and this was actually a pen that was made for me by a buddy, and as you can see, it has a shotgun for the clip here. Well, if we can get a close-up on that. It has a nice little gun for the clip there. The end of it actually is, shaped like a bullet. And what's the coolest thing about this, how you deploy this pen is like a bolt-action rifle. So you, let go. Pretty cool, guys. Now, also in this pouch, I keep some fire starting supplies. Just a little fire starting kit. Yes, we have the waterproof matches, but guys, you never know. Chances are you'll probably never use this, but I like being prepared. I like having this type of stuff, especially when we're traveling or in the car, stuff like that, winter time. These are handy to have. Now, I also like to keep a little bit of extra 550 cord. I usually always have a 550 cord bracelet, more or less a survival bracelet, if you'd like to call it that. I do keep extra 550 cord in my EDC bags. Guys, this stuff just comes in handy. I don't know how many times I've had to tie stuff up. Just use some random 550 cord. Alright guys, so moving up to our top and final pouch here, bunch of different odds and ends, but quite a bit of important stuff up here. So here we just have your typical Band-Aids. This isn't a sealed pack. I believe it came in some sort of first aid kit that we had laying around the house, so I just went ahead and threw some of them in there. The kids are always using these things. They do come in handy for, small cuts, bumps, scrapes, things of that nature. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I usually get poison ivy a couple times a year. I actually just got over having it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see some of this here, but that is from poison ivy, and I wish I would have had these towelettes when I, first noticed that what I was in was poison ivy, because chances are, guys, if you first get in poison ivy and have something like this, to start wiping it off right away, I'm not saying you won't get it, but it won't be nearly as bad. At the very least, or you should do this anyway, go home and wash up with some sort of Dawn dish soap or some sort of dish soap. But anyways, guys, next up we have this here, and this is more compressed gauze. This was actually in an IFAK that I bought. I bought a couple different IFAKs from a military surplus store, and let me show you what those look like real quick. This is one of the few med kits I bought from a military surplus store, guys. We have a military surplus store about an hour away, and every time I'm in that area, I always try to stop by. Now, not to get too off a topic, but some of the stuff that is contained in here is considered not good anymore, but it does come with some cool stuff that will serve a good purpose. And, just Band-Aids, compressed gauze, camouflage wrapping, stuff like that. And I just thought they were kind of neat. I think I picked like 5 of these up for about $5 a piece. I just thought they were something kind of cool to have. So next up here is one of my favorite multi-tools, guys. Now this thing is very tiny. I get that. I do have some bigger multi-tools, and I actually have a new multi-tool on the way that I'm very excited about. But this is the Leatherman Micra. And guys, this thing, I've used this thing so many times, I really can't even tell you how many times. Typical Leatherman quality. The scissors are extremely sharp on this thing. Very, very good retention on it. They're not cheap scissors where when you press it, they don't come back, anything like that. Typical Leatherman quality, and I think the Micra runs between $25 and $30. Don't quote me on that, but somewhere in that ballpark. I will leave a link below. Now this has scissors. It does have your bottle opener / little pry bar right there. Also has a flathead screwdriver, and it can be used in a Phillips. It says it right on it. I've never tried it in a Phillips. I have used the flathead though. And then it also has some tweezers right here. Now on the other side here, guys, it has this miniature blade right here, which, guys, that thing is pretty sharp for how small it is. It could definitely come in handy. We also have a smaller prying type tool. Then we have your typical nail file with a pick on the end, pick whatever out, or, if you got to dig into a cut, which I know that sounds nasty, but sometimes it happens. I really, really need to pick up about 2 or 3 more of these. I absolutely love them. Now, next to the Leatherman, guys, we have some duct tape. Now, what I do is get like an old 223 case, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see that very well. I think this is an old Hordney case, I'm pretty sure. But I like to get like an old 223 case, maybe a 308 case, and wrap that in duct tape. And if you guys can see how much duct tape is on there, there's really quite a bit. Now on this particular roll, I have 2 different sizes. I have a little bit longer of a strip here that's pretty thick, and then a shorter, thinner strip. Now this can also come in handy for a number of things, whether you got to tape some dressing on a cut, whatever you could use duct tape for, guys. It's really, really handy to have it. And this is in such a small package, it's really not going to hurt to throw these in a couple different bags that you have. Now up front here in some of these pockets, we have some Quick Clot. And guys, this is not like the military grade Quick Clot. This is more or less like their sports sponge, they call it. These can be had for about 15 bucks, maybe even a little bit cheaper sometimes. But guys, I think these are great. I've never had to use one, luckily, knock on wood. But it's definitely great to be prepared, and Quick Clot makes some of the best stuff out there. I do have one of the actual OD Green Quick Clots. They're a little more expensive. Sometimes they can be upwards of $30. But guys, this is great. This is everything you should need. Now next up we have some medical shears, and these are just your typical medical shears. My mom is actually a nurse, so she had a bunch of this stuff, and I was like, hey, could I have some of that? And I try to keep some of this stuff with me at all times. Whether you have to cut dressing off of somebody, cut their jeans off, cut their shirt off, or just cutting actual bandages, stuff like that. Your typical medical shears are going to do the job. And guys, I've seen these for sale at military surplus stores online for fairly cheap, so there's no reason why you shouldn't have a pair of medical shears with you. Now next up in that same pouch, we have a big set of tweezers. Now there are some tweezers on the Leatherman Micro over here, but guys, these are also something that are really cheap. They're stainless steel. If someone had a bad enough cut or something bad enough stuck in their skin. So next up behind that, guys, I keep a glow stick. Now I typically always have a couple lights with me. I actually don't have a light in this pack, and that's something I probably need to throw in there. But I always have my EDC light with me. I do have a light on my firearm, on my EDC gun, which I'm not going to just whip that out to use as a flashlight, but worst case scenario, I could use that. But guys, it never hurts to have a glow stick. These are very, very cheap. I like to throw these in all my bug out bags, stuff like that anyways. Next up over here, and I have used this stuff a lot, guys. Cortisone cream. It helps with burns, stuff like that. The kids have used this a lot. I've used it a lot. My wife has used it a lot. It's just something handy that I threw in here. So back in this other pocket, guys, we have some bigger bandages. This is a big square bandage. Now for some cuts, you may not need to necessarily field dress it out, get the quick clot out, your Israeli bandage, anything like that. But a big bandage like this could come in handy. So I do like to keep one of these with me. And I also have a permanent marker. I've used this a ton, you know, having to write on something, whether it was metal, plastic, something like that. A permanent marker always comes in handy. Well guys, that wraps up my pretty much emergency kit. Like I said, don't jump all over me. I'm not saying this is a dedicated IFAK, but guys, you cannot believe how handy this is to have to throw in my range bag, to throw in my EDC bag, to throw in the car. I do like to lug this around. I've used it a lot. I'm going to continue to use it a lot, but it's also an absolute must to have dedicated medical kits. My wife is very familiar with this kit. The kids are familiar with it. They know what's in here. They know where some of the stuff is at if they had to get to it in a hurry. Some of my buddies I go shooting with have seen this kit. They know what's in it. So everybody I'm typically around is going to know what's in here. They're going to know some medical is in here. And if not, I like to keep the medical patch on there. So, like I said, don't jump all over me that I do have odds and ends stuff in here as well. But guys, I absolutely love having these kits. So, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the support. Please go check out my last video. I'm having a giveaway, so jump on that if you haven't seen that. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.